Worried about your drinking? Reserve your place on today's free Quit Drinking webinar and get a copy of my best-selling book, Alcohol Lied to Me, as a gift just for turning up. www.stopdrinkingexpert.com. Hey, how you doing? This is Craig Beck, aka the Stop Drinking Expert and the author of best-selling sober quit lit book, Alcohol Lied to Me. You can get a free copy of that right now at the website, stopdrinkingexpert.com. And there's lots of other free advice and articles on there as well. Today, we are talking about getting some help to quit drinking and understanding the psychology of addiction and the psychology behind how this drug manages to work so well, how it manages to effectively kill 3 million people every year. First thing, we don't like to call it a drug. It's a very weird situation, and I would say this is the most strange drug on planet Earth because it's the only one that we absolutely do not want to label a drug. We don't do that with any other substance. Nicotine, heroin, cocaine, even weed, we call them what they are. We call them drugs. With alcohol, we call them a little tipple. We call them a social lubricant. We call them anything except what they are. A dangerous, highly addictive substance that kills 3 million people every year. And we live in a world where we have this twisted, ridiculous notion that heroin and cocaine and all these street drugs are the bad drugs, and the lesser drug is alcohol. Well, you know, heroin kills a couple 100,000 people a year. Alcohol kills 3 million people a year. Which one is actually really the evil drug in that? Of course, it's alcohol. But we live in a bubble of unreality around this drug, and that's what it's so difficult to deal with it. Because if you get hooked on heroin and you're a reasonable, down-to-earth, everyday person, you can feel the scorn. You can feel the stigma of all those who are around you, who will treat you like you're in a very bad place doing a very bad thing. You drink alcohol, and the chances are all those people you love and respect who surround you will endorse your behavior. They will even buy it for you. It's bizarre, but that's the world we live in. So today I got an email from Charlie, and I can kind of feel his pain in this email and where he is. And I kind of know, where he's coming from, but let's dig a little deeper because I think this is quite a good subject. Hi, Craig. My brother died 2 years this November 3rd from alcoholism. It's a long, terrible story I won't go into here, and I'm sure you've heard it 1,000 times. I'm now trying to live better, exercising, eating better, but I cannot lose any weight with how much vodka I drink. Quitting drinking will be the hardest thing I've done, but I'm sure I can. My question is, while trying to slowly decrease the amount I drink, I keep running into the weekends and I splurge and binge. I love going out to bars and restaurants and socializing and carrying on. I just can't seem to stop myself. I run out of energy keeping busy and doing tasks, and then I get overwhelmingly bored and head out with my wallet fully open. Okay, here's the question for real. How can I make myself want to stay home, be safe, and keep reducing the drinking until I'm down to nothing? Any thoughts would be lovely. Thank you, and you're doing God's work, my friend. Thanks, Charlie. Great question, Charlie. Well put, and I'm sorry for your loss as well. It doesn't appear so, but there is a lot going on in this short email. First of all, what Charlie is doing here, Charlie is responding to what I call a threshold event. And we all have these threshold events, and it's not just about alcohol. Threshold is where you get so far on the spectrum from pleasure and pain towards pain that you have to do something. And this comes down to basic human psychology. Humans do what they do for only 2 reasons. We think we're all complex and complicated. We're not. We're just intelligent monkeys, basically. And our behavior is predictable in that we are motivated by everything to achieve 1 or 2 outcomes, and that is to avoid pain or gain pleasure. That's everything. Now, what happens is we can go through life with a load of bad habits, and they nudge the needle towards pain. They make us unhappy. But unless they get sufficiently along that scale, we don't do anything about them. And when you do have an event that pushes that pain needle to the maximum, then you do something. For example, if you're not happy with your weight, why haven't you just gone on a diet and fixed the problem? And the answer is that pleasure pain scale. Now, if one day you walk into the office and before you turn the corner into the room, you overhear someone talking about you and they describe you as the fat woman that works over there, suddenly you get this violent swing on the pain scale and you think, that's it. I'm going to the gym after work. That's it. I'm going on a diet. Now, the problem is you go to the gym and you go on the diet, but you only stay there and on the diet until that needle returns to something more bearable. You don't stay there, generally as a rule, until the needle gets down to pleasure. Because as humans, we take the path of least resistance. We will do the bare minimum to remove the pain, but often we will not follow through to pleasure. So that was a long explanation of what a threshold event is, but because Charlie here suffered this enormous grief incident and it was caused by alcohol, it's forced him to put his own drinking under the microscope. It's forced him to feel enough pain about his behavior that he's decided to do something about it. Charlie, the problem here, as I've just described, is the pain of a threshold event is not sufficient to take you to a solution. It's sufficient to get you to do something. But the reason why 95% of diets fail is because that sort of motivation alone is not sufficient to take you all the way to the goal. It'll just take you to the point where the pain goes away. So, and I think, you can see this in your own behavior here. You haven't responded to that threshold event by saying, that's it, I'm quitting drinking. I want this poison out of my life. You've said, I want to slowly reduce the poison. And that's just the evil clown. That rogue tenant that you invited to live in your head, the evil clown of alcohol, that's just the clown whispering in your ear, yeah, you're right, you should stop drinking, but don't do it suddenly, that's dangerous. Just try and cut down. And the clown says this because he knows ultimately you will fail if you're just using this threshold event to get to some utopia. Because the drug doesn't work like that. The drug has spent decades, Charlie, desensitizing you to its effects. So while your intentions are to drink less, the drug is going to make you feel miserable if you do so. Because now you have to drink the volume you are currently drinking to get the effects that you're craving. What you're suggesting here is that somehow you're going to be able to reverse that and get to the point where you drink half as much and accept half the euphoria. It's like taking, half a headache medication and having half a headache. Why would you want half a headache? It doesn't make a lot of sense. You see, what you're saying here is you still see alcohol as a huge benefit in your life. And what you're asking me here is, Craig, how can I get rid of this huge benefit in my life? Because I'm in pain, because something terrible has happened to me. I'm suffering a threshold event. I'm in pain. And the only thing I can see as the solution is to get rid of this huge benefit in my life. How do I do that, Craig? And how do I enjoy doing it? And if you look at it like that, you'll see what you're asking is impossible. Because your programming around this drug is wrong. It's incorrect. Alcohol's not a benefit. There is not a single benefit to alcohol. And I know on the short-term level, I know with a very narrow field of view, it appears there are benefits. And you highlight some here. You say, I love going out to bars and restaurants and socializing and carrying on. I just can't seem to stop myself. I run out of energy keeping busy and doing tasks, and then I get overwhelmingly bored and I head out with my wallet fully open. So you've described it very flowery. It sounds like, yeah, okay, alcohol's giving you something there. But it's not really. It's just covering up a vacuum in your life. You're using a poison, an addictive poison, to cover up something profoundly missing in your life. Because if your life was full and you were living the life that you came here to live, you wouldn't need to blot it out. You wouldn't need to cover it up. You'd enjoy what you had. So let's get straight to the nub of the question. Okay, now here's the question for real. How can I make myself want to stay home and be safe and keep reducing the drinking until I'm down to nothing? Any thoughts would be lovely. Okay. The problem is you don't want to stay home. And that is really the essence of the problem here, is you don't want to achieve what you say you want to achieve. You think that staying home and staying safe is boring, and you're asking me how I can make you force yourself to do that. You can't. Look, you can do it in the short term by using willpower, but as you know, if you've read my book, willpower has a 95% chance of failure in the long run, because you have internal civil war going on. You know, half your brain is saying, stay home, Charlie, stay safe. And the other half is saying, go out, get drunk, have a good time. And eventually the battle will swing back and forwards, and it's not a solution. The only way for you to stay home and stay safe is if you genuinely enjoy staying home and staying safe. So that's what you've got to find out. How do you enjoy that more than going out? And as long as alcohol is in your system, that's not going to be possible, because the evil clown is always going to twist your arm and say, come on, let's go out. Let's go and get drunk. And you're always going to say yes, because you're continually throwing fuel on the fire, promising yourself that one day you'll throw slightly less fuel on the fire. I'm not a huge believer in moderation, because it's hell on earth compared to quitting drinking. I know it seems like quitting drinking completely is the scary option, and it is a bit scary, and it'll force you to address the problems in your life that need to be dealt with. But moderation is like walking past a cake shop window on your way to work every day, salivating at the window and promising yourself that you won't go in. It's just awful. Quitting drinking is changing the route and never going past that window again. So I can't give you the answer that you want to hear, because I don't think it's possible. Now, you could use drugs to do it. You could use medication to do it. You could take naltrexone. Ozempic is showing some sort of signs of helping with cravings. You could get a prescription for medication, but I'm not a massive advocate for taking drugs to deal with the drug problem, because you may get some help with it, but it doesn't really address the reason why you're drinking in the first place. And also you get all the horrible side effects that come with taking a pharmaceutical drug. My advice to you is to quit drinking and stop messing about and grow up. I know that's harsh, and I know you might tell me to F off when I say that to you. But sometimes people need to hear the truth, and that is, you're messing around at the edges and you're not taking it seriously, and you need to get stuck in and do what you know needs to be done. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of such a harsh message, but that's kind of the realization that I came to. So, Charlie, sign up to the webinar, do the course, do it with 100% passion and commitment, and get serious about this, because you know what happens if you don't. You've seen the same thing happen to your brother, and possibly the same outcome is in the mail to you. Now is the time to take action, not tomorrow, not to slowly taper down, now. And there's a very good saying that says the best time to quit drinking was 10 years ago. The next best time is today. So thank you very much for your question. If you're watching this video and you have questions, email me, craig@craigbeck.com, or go to the website, stopdrinkingexpert.com, and I will do my best to help you out. Thanks a lot. Worried about your drinking? Reserve your place on today's free Quit Drinking webinar and get a copy of my best-selling book, Alcohol Lied to Me, as a gift just for turning up. www.stopdrinkingexpert.com